First up, we have changes to demographic data. So just a reminder, if you're on a contacts profile, head to the fundraising tab up here and go to capacity to give. Now I'm on Frodo Baggins' profile here, who lives in my favourite suburb of Wellington, Hataitai. The best meat pie I've ever had in my life was in here. Don't let my Australians uh, catch me saying that. But the demographic data, what it does is it pulls from the postal code that you've entered for your contacts automatically and gives old census data that we have. So from here, you can see I've got 2018 census results provided by Stats New Zealand for the suburb of Hataitai. So just a reminder, we had this already available for US, Canada, and Australia servers. It's just New Zealand folks who have it available now. We've got it for New Zealand addresses. And you can look at things like the medium household income, medium individual income, education levels, household types, commute breakdown, just all the stuff we have available from the census data, just in case you find it useful. And we've got a really cool blog on how to use wealth screening tools like this that I'll make sure I share in the release notes as well. Next up, we've added some new KPIs thanks to our partnership with Kit. So a reminder, KPIs can be found in the fundraising section here, just on the summary tab. So these are the new ones that we've added. They're all to do with recurring donors, so really useful. So we've got recurring donor retention rate, recurring donor lifetime value, recurring donor average gift size, medium gift size, donation growth rate, and donor acquisition rate monthly. So just a reminder, these KPIs are all calculated automatically for you right in your Keela account here. And these new ones are really useful at looking at how your organization is doing when it comes to recurring donors. So all of those metrics can measure your successes there. You've got a bunch of other ones, just in case you're sort of haven't seen these wonderful KPIs before. We've got things like donor list size, donor acquisition rate monthly. So that looks at all of your donors, not just recurring, donor lifetime value, and then some really handy ones like donor retention rate and donor churn rate, which can be really tricky or really cumbersome to calculate manually, but we're going to be here calculating that for you. And of course, things like fundraising KPIs and email marketing KPIs that look at your overarching email marketing statistics, not just one by one. So again, we've added these 6 new ones. Thank you to Kit, who've added these enhancements for us and made this possible. Our final enhancement, also powered by Kit, brings us to the report section of Keela, and it's the addition of 2 new widgets that you can add to your reports. So, of course, the overview section, the overview tab here, this is where Keela automatically analyzes your data and presents it to you in the form of these widgets, these kind of graphs and images that are interpreting the data. And when I say the data, I mean all the stuff that's on this data tab here, so the raw data. So for me, in this example, it's all of my contacts because I'm using a contacts report. So let's jump back. Let's see the widgets in action. To add a widget, click on this button here, and I'm just going to type in 1. So we've got the one-time versus recurring donor and the one-time versus recurring gifts. These are the new ones. So I'll go ahead and I'll add those. And then what I'm going to do is just reorder my widgets and bring those to the top just so we can see. Okay, beautiful. So the first one-time versus recurring gifts, it breaks down all of the fundraising transactions that have been given by my raw data, by these contacts here, and gives you a representation of which categories they fall into, whether it's one-time or recurring. So here I can see that I've got 75 recurring transactions and 2,063 single. So from this representation, I would say, okay, it looks like we need to do a little bit more work on our recurring donations. We want to get this sort of to be a more even distribution if we can. That might be a target or something I want to work on. Down here, we have one-time versus recurring donors. And this one's a really cool one because it looks at the contacts that you've got. So I've got 79 here, and it breaks down whether or not they're single gift donors, active recurring donors, or lapsed recurring donors. Now, I'm very lucky. I don't have any lapsed recurring donors here, but I do have some active and single donors. And the cool thing about this is that you can click on these graphs, and if I had lapsed recurring donors, I could click on it there. And you can see the actual specific contacts who fall into that category. And most importantly, if you click on this icon here, you can save those contacts as a segment, you can export them, or you can add them to a tag. So the action item that this widget gives you is that you might come in here and have a look at your lapsed recurring donors, click on them. Let's pretend I'm clicking on them now, but of course I'm looking at active. And you could save them to a tag that's perhaps lapsed recurring donors tag. And then you might create an email campaign that's designed to re engage those donors and perhaps nurture them back to giving on a recurring basis. Because, of course, it's going to be much easier to re engage someone who's already showed promise in the past rather than sort of connect with a completely new audience. And the same goes for single gift donors. What you can do is reach out to these folks, perhaps link a recurring donation form in your email and encourage them to give on an ongoing basis. A pro tip, recently I received a campaign just like that, where the organization I donate to outlined the impact that my ongoing donation would have versus my single donation. And it was just a really meaningful way for them to show me the physical effect of how the transition would of what the transition would have. And it was really good. So that's an example of how you can use this new widget. Thanks to Kit for making all of this possible.